Hey, this is Jess with Tract, and today we're going to be doing a video on lump sum and creating an adjusting entry for your lump sum tracts. So we'll briefly touch on just how to set up a lump sum tract, but we're really going to focus on what happens when you finish that tract. So let's take a look at our test job, and we have a test lump sum job set up. And really, to make a job a lump sum, there's just two things you need to do. You need to set the contract type to lump sum, and then you need to record a lump sum payment amount, which has the vendor, how much, and the date. So we have that all set up. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is, when you set up your products, you're going to still want to put in a stumpage payment amount. Even though you're not actually paying stumpage on a per ticket or per ton basis, it'll be good for you to record what you would have paid or likely would have paid, so that you can keep track with your profit and how you're cutting out across the tract. And then at the end of the job, we can compare how we would have done if we'd have paid a per ton versus what we did for our lump sum. So first thing I want to take a look at is that lump sum payment that you record. How is that different than stumpage? And this is the way that most people will treat their lump sum payments and stumpage payments in their accounting program. So when you write your landowner a check, you're not going to record that as an expense right away, because you haven't cut that tract yet. You might not cut it for 6 months. It might not even get cut until, if you purchase the tract at towards the end of the year, it might not get cut to next year, so you don't really want to record that as an expense. So what most people do is they'll have an asset account called something like prepaid lump sum, and they'll credit their cash account when they write that check, so that decreases their cash, and then they're going to stick that $100,000 in their prepaid lump sum account. So it's kind of sitting there as reserve, ready to be used whenever you start cutting on the tract. And then as you start cutting on the tract, let's say, for example, the first week you do $10,000 in what would have been stumpage. So then you're going to record your $10,000 as an expense. It's going to increase your expenses. And then you're going to not write that landowner a check, right? You're going to pull the $10,000 for that expense from your prepaid lump sum. So then the balance would be $100,000 minus $10,000, so the balance would then be $90,000 still to cut. And so we do that very similarly in Tract. And if you go click on your view balances, that lump sum payment is going to get automatically applied to this lump sum prepaid account. And that's a balance account, so it's not going to record yet on your profit and loss. And then as you record stumpage, you're going to, that's your stumpage is an expense account. And so that'll show up on your profit and loss. So you can see we've recorded 10,500 stumpage on this account, and we've had an overcut, and that's actually good because we would have paid $500 more for stumpage. And if we go look at our profit and loss, let's open this up in a new tab, profit and loss, and we want this lump sum job. And just so we can see how this tracks, I want to see, I think, let's look as of April what our what our profit and loss would look like. Yeah, so nice. So let's see, as of April, we've only cut $1,000 worth of stumpage, and so on our profit and loss, we're only showing $1,000 expense for the stumpage. But now we stick a little reminder down here below to remind you that, hey, you really paid $10,000 for this tract, and you've only recorded $1,000 in lump sum. So as of right now, you still got $9,000 more to cut out before you kind of break even on that deal. So if you included your lump sum payment, your total this will be your total profit. You can see I didn't record any sales for this tract, just to focus on the stumpage expense, and there's no logging or trucking or any other type of expenses either. But this would include your total profit and loss, which for me at this point is negative $10,000. So once you finish the job, how do you keep track of it, or how do you adjust for that. And let's go back and let's remove this date and generate one for the whole job. Okay, so now we're finished with the job. We've recorded 10,500 for our total stumpage, and it's incorrect. We're really overstating our expenses here. So we need to make an adjusting entry. So to create this adjusting entry, there's two ways we can do it. One is you can do it manually, and that's just by clicking this button here, create an adjusting entry. And what it's going to do is just load up this page, and it's going to create a transaction for you, and we've pre-selected everything that you need. So really all you have to do is review it, and as you can see, we got today's date, who the stumpage was paid to, and we use a special account called lump sum closeout, which is a sub account of stumpage. So it's still included in the stumpage expense bucket, but it's separate so that we can keep track of your overcuts and undercuts. So you can go actually run a report, transaction report on lump sum closeout, and see how well you did, like over a year, for example. And if you did more overcuts or more undercuts, or kind of broke even, or what you did on those deals. And then this is the job name. And so what we're going to do is, since this is an expense account, is that we need to record $500 less expenses because we did better. So that's why it's -500, and you're going to click save. Now I'm not going to do that for this demonstration because I want to show you the second way that you record this adjusting entry. And actually it's really the same way. It's just we want to remind you that if you are editing your job and you are switching it from job status to completed, and you go click save, then we're going to automatically redirect you to this page and remind you, hey, this is you just changed this to completed. It's a lump sum track. You probably need to create an adjusting entry. We're going to load it up for you again. So this time we're going to actually save it, and it's going to bring us back to our balances page. And so now we can see in full detail how much we initially paid, what we accumulated in stumpage, and then our adjusting entry. And so now our balance is 0. So we've closed out this job. We've set the stumpage equal to what we actually paid for stumpage. And if we go back to our profit and loss and refresh this page, it's going to show us in detail there's our stumpage, there's our lump sum closeout. So our total stumpage expense is, even though we put these on two separate lines, the lump sum is a sub account of stumpage. So but yeah, it sets your expenses correctly to 10,000, and then there again is reflected our 0 balance for our lump sum balance. So one other place we can just look at real quick just to show this is if we go to reports and forms and we go to our jobs report and we look at a lump sum report, we'll also see that job. There's our 10,000 paid. Our stumpage accrued included the lump sum closeout is 10,000. So our lump sum balance is 0, and we have 0 lump sum out now. And so now our books are closed. Our profit and loss is correct, and we can move forward and ready to get on to the next track. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to do a demo or answer anything outside of what we covered here in the video. But looking forward to using this feature.